As you guys know, there are a ton of options for home gym functional trainers. I can imagine for companies, it can be really hard to differentiate what makes their product unique or special and why you should choose theirs within that like-for-like category. This right here is the newly released Mikolo Falcon functional trainer, and Mikolo figured out a way to do just that. It has dual 176-pound weight stacks, a sweet knurled multi-grip pull-up bar, a bunch of quality included cable attachments, free shipping, and best of all, the ability to turn each side's individual weight stack into a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning you can utilize that full listed weight of the stack to do things like lat pull downs and seated rows just by connecting two cable carabiners together. Let's check it out. Hey guys, this is Michael with the Jungle Gym Reviews. Today we're reviewing the recently released Mikolo Falcon functional trainer. For those not familiar with Mikolo, they make everything from the budget offerings and the lighter duty, plate loaded and functional trainer power rack combos, similar to like a Major Fitness or RitFit or some other Amazon brands. But then Mikolo also offers all the way up to your big boy 3x3 racks with 1-inch holes, and additionally even offers products like this full-size functional trainer, which competes with all the other big companies' offerings like Rep, Titan, Bells of Steel, etc. I'll get into some more details later, but with the unique features this has and the free shipping Mikolo offers on all products, I think this potentially provides even a better price per value and versatility than those name brands. So at the time of filming this review, the Falcon functional trainer is $22.79, but there is a $100 off launch coupon available on their website. And again, that price includes the free shipping, so you don't have to pay extra. As I mentioned before, there are quite a few reasons why this Mikolo Falcon functional trainer differentiates itself from all other weight stack functional trainers of this price range. Almost all functional trainers, including commercial ones, utilize a 2-to-1 pulley ratio, which simply means that the configuration of the cables and the pulleys effectively cut the perceived weight in half. So if you have 100 pounds selected, you only feel 50 pounds of resistance. The reason this 2-to-1 pulley ratio is typically used because it allows for a lower overall starting weight, more weight increments for adjustability and progression, and longer cable travel, all of which are typically things people want in a functional trainer for various reasons. The biggest feature of this Falcon functional trainer is the ability to switch between this typical 2-to-1 pulley ratio and also a 1-to-1 pulley ratio, which allows users to utilize the entire listed weight of the stack. So if you select 176 pounds, you get 176 pounds of resistance for lat pull downs, low rows, belt squats, etc. Anything where you really need a heavy single-sided movement. The best part about this feature is that the transition from the 2-to-1 to 1-to-1 pulley ratio is literally seamless. All you have to do is connect the two cable carabiners together on either side, and now you're ready to go. You don't need to find a creative way to connect the separate weight stacks together to do a lat pull down, or go buy some attachment like a gym pin or bare steel weight stack pin, although both of these are objectively sweet for adding weight. The point is, you don't have to find out a way to add more weight unless you truly need more than 176 pounds. But even in that case, you don't have to lug around like 2 to 4 weight plates, and this should only need minimal weight added. So this really is a great plug-and-play feature. Some of the other things this trainer specifically offers is the modular pegboard storage baked into the back of the rack. I'm now seeing more companies start to do this, like with Rep Fitness and their Arcadia trainer, and I really like this idea because everyone eventually ends up with so many cable attachments, and you can either throw them on the floor, you're limited to like 5 attached hooks, or have some sort of storage option on the wall, which is located elsewhere in the gym. But this integrated pegboard storage idea, it basically allows for more user configurable storage and hypothetically endless options to store your attachments until you run out of room. I will quickly mention though, this Mikolo pegboard isn't using the typical round or standard holes, it's got square holes instead. And the hooks that come with them are fine, but don't really stay in place easily. And for the attachments, when you're taking them on and off, it kind of makes it hard to store them because the hooks just fall off when you're taking things on and off. So don't just expect this to be as nice as a true dedicated pegboard solution. The last big unique feature of this rack is the multi-grip pull-up bar. This is a super nice addition and reminds me exactly of a multi-grip Titan cambered barbell I used to own, where the inner grips are angled for chin-ups and then the next sequential grips all for neutral grip pull-ups. The knurling on this one is perfect for a powder-coated pull-up bar with just a nice medium knurling. It's more aggressive than the typical passive powder-coated knurling I have on my Inspire SF3, but not so aggressive like my Rogue Ohio Power Bar, where it'll rib up your hands with the twisting and rotation. So overall, I just think this was a nice extra that allows you just more versatility and creativity to do whatever you want with this machine, which is highly valued in home gyms that have limited space. So Mikolo has a full list of specs on their website, but I'll list a few of the most important ones here. This trainer is about 89 inches tall, which is a nice height and equivalent to some of the more popular power rack heights. Being this tall allows for more cable height adjustment options and therefore also the ability to do things like pull-ups or hanging leg raises with a better range of motion and not hitting your feet on the ground at all or as much. This machine is also pretty wide as far as home gym oriented trainers go because the cable uprights are 62 inches apart. Obviously, this allows for more room inside the rack for various exercises and moving around, but more importantly, a much better cable range of motion, especially with dual cable converging movements like chest flies, rear delt flies, or cross-arm lateral raises. I really appreciate the width, and it's hugely noticeable for me after 5 or so various home gym functional trainers over the last 4 years. This one just made me realize how much I missed a nice wide commercial gym trainer, especially for things like chest flies, which just feel fantastic on here, doing them standing or even laying down from a bench. The only downside to this cable width is that naturally the frame has to accommodate, and it makes this a pretty long 82-inch wide machine. However, I want to be clear, I personally like this footprint much better than my Inspire SF3, for example, which is much narrower, but it is deeper. This one, the Mikolo, is only 33 inches deep, and it's perfect for my gym configuration where I have the lateral width to spare, but more importantly, the machine doesn't then protrude into my active lifting floor area. Again, due to the width and the height of this trainer, it feels much more like the ones at the gym where there's just plenty of space and you're not forced to make a trade-off into a small little cramped corner machine. Moving on to the weight stacks, as I mentioned before, they're 176 pounds on each side, starting at 11 pounds and moving up in 11-pound increments or 5 kilograms when you use that 1-to-1 pulley ratio. If you're using the 2-to-1 pulley ratio configuration, you were using just half the previous mentioned weight. So rather than 11 to 176 in 11-pound increments, you're going from 5.5 to 88 pounds in 5.5-pound increments. Lastly, I wanted to mention the cable height adjustments. The highest pulley height setting is listed at 78 inches and the lowest at 11. However, these are the locations of the cable slider, trolley, or carriage, not the exact cable height where you'll be pulling from. The two cables are mounted closely in proximity together. Again, make it super easy when you want to move to that 1-to-1 ratio. However, when you're using just one cable, if you're pulling down, you need to use the bottommost cable. And when you're lifting up, you need to use the top one so they don't hit and rub on top of each other. But what happens is the ball end stoppers and carabiners of the cable actually kind of hit each other and cause some minor friction unless you just use the one that's closest to you. This is totally not an issue at all, but I want to make people aware that this makes the actual usable pulley height range from 14 inches to 73 inches that I measured. So just keep that in mind in case that impacts your specific use case. I know it does make a difference if you're really tall or really short, or you want to do some movements like a tricep pushdown, which typically started from the higher setting heights, or a belt squat, which you would want the lowest setting heights. So again, food for thought. So as far as alternate options go, the problem with direct comparisons is that, to my knowledge, not really any other mainstream functional trainer has this ability to switch from a 2-to-1 to a 1-to-1 ratio and do it this seamlessly. Because of all this, you really end up comparing apples to oranges rather than a parallel comparison to this standalone functional trainer. The only 1-to-1 cable options I've seen are the more all-in-one options like the Force USA G12, which had a Smith machine and is twice the price, or a jacked up Fitness Power Rack Extreme, which is a power rack and a Smith machine and a functional trainer. But this one's still more than double this Falcon's price. If we're going to compare on similar size profile or like weight stack alone, I would assume most people typically would look at something like the Rep Fitness Arcadia Max functional trainer, their wider offering. It's $2,600, but only has a 2-to-1 pulley ratio. If you do want to do heavy lat pull downs, you probably want to purchase the additional $320 weight stack upgrade, making it a whopping 270 pounds per side. But because of the 2-to-1, it ends up still at just 135 pounds of perceived weight, which means even if you still want to do these heavy-sided movements, you then need to purchase a weight stack pin, like I mentioned earlier, and load on some extra weight plates to add more weight. I'm guessing though, just based on photos and reviews I've seen, something like the Arcadia Max is probably a slightly better functional trainer option with a nicer fit and finish, aluminum pulleys, more pegboard storage, etc. But for $700 or $800 more and less out-of-the-box functionality, that would be a hard pill to swallow. So overall, the Mikolo Falcon functional trainer is a really solid option for those who have the width and height room for a full-size home gym functional trainer, and especially those who might not already have a lat pull-down, low row, or a heavy singular cable movement option. I think the ideal width of this trainer and the 1-to-1 ratio are really the selling point here, because if all you need is a functional trainer to get the job done and don't care about the width or heavy one-sided movements, then you can explore one of the endless small profile and more entry-level options that exist in the $1,500 to $2,000 range from almost every manufacturer under the sun. I would say though, for something like this that's just slightly over $2,000, lets you unlock all of the functionality and weight that most people will ever need in a functional trainer. The overall smoothness of this machine is exactly what I would expect. It feels completely normal and what I consider just average for a selectorized trainer. You go to use the trainer, it feels just like you would expect, and boom, transaction's completed. As I mentioned in prior reviews, almost nothing feels as snappy as my Inspire SF3 that I've tried so far, but this is directly comparable to my Rep PR5000 selectorized weight stack lat pull down. Some of the other things I liked in this machine again is the overall narrow depth, since it doesn't invade on the rest of my lifting area directly. It's also nice because it includes some medium duty cable attachments that have decent knurling, unlike the cheaper hollow or plastic attachments I've received on those budget all-in-one racks in the past that I've reviewed. The weight stack itself looked very sleek and professional, with included aluminum magnetic weight selector pins, and even the labels on the weight plates look very commercial style and aesthetically pleasing. And the weights themselves have built-in plastic dampers integrated into the weight plate, so you never have direct metal-on-metal contact, which is another design feature that's been well thought out. Some of the things I think could be better is the overall quality control and some of the attention to details that you inherently miss at this more affordable price range. Absolutely nothing would be a deal breaker for me, just more minor annoyances. The overall quality and fit and finish is just average. There were several things I had to fix out of the box, like 2 pulleys that were rubbing up against each other inside this cable shroud, which resulted in a plastic grinding noise that I had to spend like 15 minutes finding and adjusting to resolve. The plastic shroud covers were annoying to assemble, with just some self-tapping screws going into some floating plastic frame mounts. The Mikolo decals were also hard to install, as you had to take them off this little wax paper sheet thing and peel this big flimsy name brand sticker and try to line it up and center it yourself, which resulted in some minor bubbles and imperfections. The last minor issue I encountered is that this carriage slider upright on the left side has noticeably more friction and is harder to slide up and down than the other. So either the upright tubing itself or the carriage tube slider is just a little too tight and maybe not completely straight in all areas. My biggest complaint out of all of them is actually that considering this machine has the feature to be able to do heavy one-sided movements, there is no OEM option made by Mikolo for a lat pull-down seat or a low-row footplate you'll see from other companies that have rack attachments. So to me, that's a huge missed opportunity, since my opinion, the main use case for this 1-to-1 pulley ratio is to be able to do both of these movements specifically. You can for sure do them, but you need to get creative with where you put your feet or how to keep your torso on the floor during lat pull-downs. As I mentioned, there are other brands that make these attachments though, so don't worry, but I didn't want to spend $300 for the sake of proving that point. Just know you have options, albeit not from Mikolo directly. All of these considerations I just mentioned are relatively minor in scale because the overall price per value for those who want this functionality and this size on a functional trainer, it's just still a no-brainer and it's a good purchase. Also, for what it's worth, even though this machine is slightly less smooth than my Inspire SF3 trainer, I'm definitely considering selling the SF3 because the width and other features this Falcon functional trainer offers just are more appealing to me personally as a user. All right, guys, so that's it for the video. Thank you for checking out this review of the Mikolo Falcon functional trainer. As always, if you have any questions, please comment down below and I'll be happy to answer or at least try. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you're interested in purchasing the trainer, please use the link in the description to support the channel. Thank you for tuning in to the Jungle Gym Reviews. We will see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.